Hi, my name is Rossina Gill, and I'm here to speak with you about tactical empathy, also known as intellectual empathy. Tactical empathy is so old, it is new again. More than 600 years BC or BCE, Chinese military strategist and philosopher Sun Tzu said, essentially, if you know yourself and you know the other, then you are most assured mutual success. And as my executive client said, having empathy is like knowing how to play chess. And having tactical empathy is being a grandmaster. So in these few minutes, I'll tell you about the objective of tactical empathy, the focus, as well as what people really want, and then 6 models that will help you deepen and expand your ability to practice tactical empathy. The objective of tactical empathy is to have communication with results. Now, what this means is that both parties emerge feeling satisfied. In a time when we have very polarized points of view, this type of conversation allows you to learn how the other person sees the world, their worldview, their frame of reference. And you do so by maintaining that curiosity, having a blank slate or an open mind, also known as tabula rasa, coming in with no preconceived notions, which may be difficult to do and might require some practice. But as you retain that curiosity, what you are conveying is that you're interested, and also it might be perceived as respect. What you are doing is that you are collecting more intelligence or intel, knowledge, data about that person so that you can understand their values, beliefs, and assumptions. When you are curious, you are suspending judgment. It is hard to be both curious and judgmental at the same time. Being judgmental places that other person in a lesser down or one down position, and that communicates disrespect. So when we think about the focus of tactical empathy, it is not the subject, it is the other person. That other person is your partner. They might as well be screaming, yelling, or cursing at you, and yet you both have a vested interest in resolving what it is that you've come to have a conversation about. So focusing on that other individual is going to help you accelerate to the point of having an innovative solution, perhaps one that you mutually have contributed towards because you have taken the time to really understand that person's feelings and thoughts. Connecting the two, the logos and the pathos, which is Greek for logic and feelings, is going to help you get to the point where you have that connection. So, when we think about what people really want, it's to be understood and accepted. Understood goes back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you look at the base, there is safety. And when people feel understood, they feel as though they can rest their defensiveness because they feel as though you are on their side, especially when they feel accepted. Then they feel as though they don't have to circle the wagons because you have accepted them as who they are and what they stand for, which is not to say that you have. It's that you have fully understood their point of view. At that point, that person may choose to finally start listening to what your views are. That's when you can have some progress. Now, for the 6 models that could help you accelerate to that point of being able to emerge feeling completely satisfied, the first is the emotional intelligence grid, also known as the EQ matrix. There are 4 boxes. When you know yourself and you know your emotions, and then you're able to manage them, then you are in charge of yourself. So that's on the left-hand column. On the right-hand column, you have the other, being aware of the other person's emotions and also how to manage them well. So that's the focus, because our focus is the other person. It is not ourselves. Humanity is key and ego is the enemy. So we're putting aside any of our needs. The second model is an acronym called LEAP, L-E-A-P. L is for listen. Put away the distractions and focus on the other person. We are not there to interrupt. E is for empathize. Are you able to articulate what that other person's sentiments are, whether they're positive or less than positive or just flat out negative? A is for ask. At that point you say, how can I help? What can I do for you? That person is being allowed to grant you permission. You do not immediately proceed to problem solving, which is the P. A lot of people listen, the L, and go straight to P, to problem solve or fix it, because they feel as though I am here to help you. Perhaps good intentions, and yet those who are speaking may be feeling as though I didn't actually come here to have you tell me what to do. So it places them in a one-down position. They may have come to you just to vent. So LEAP as opposed to just LP. The third model is the behavioral change stairway. Now there are many steps up this stairway, and you may be doing a few step dances there in the middle. They just all have to be completed to get to the top, which is behavioral change. The fourth one is the 4 fatal fears. I like to call it the 4 fears. And in them you have the fear of being wrong, which is the need to be right. The fear of losing, which is the opposite of the need to be a winner. The fear of emotional discomfort, which the opposite is the need to have comfort, emotional comfort, be comfortable. And the last one is, but not the least, the fear of being rejected, which people have the need to be accepted. And that's the linchpin, because when we have this interpersonal dynamic, then these feelings, these drivers emerge. It's hard to lose when there's no one else there. It's hard to be wrong if there's no one else there. And you can certainly be emotionally uncomfortable with no one else there. And yet we are able to have this conversation with others and emerge feeling as though we are satisfied. So what are the drivers? What are the fears that are driving ourselves, and most especially the other person, so that you can assist? The next model is known as the results model. It starts with the event. The event is the trigger, which then leads to the mental map. So it's a circular model. The next step being the mental map it's also known as the cognitive map, which is what I like to call your cultural baggage. It is comprised of all of the experiences that you've had. It's old data. Some of it may apply to this current situation, but many times it does not. And so then that leads you to have a set of emotions, actions, behaviors that lead to a result that may not be favorable for you. So when the person has had especially a trauma, then that trigger can set off memories that then lead to behaviors that have negative results. I'll give you a funny example of what happened with a couple of colleagues and myself one time when we were together. The doorbell rang. So that was the event. And for the first person who lived there, she said, well, someone must be lost. I should go over and help that person. And she proceeded to go open the door. The second person said, oh, it's the pizza man. That's what the doorbell signified to her. And for having grown up in Los Angeles and seeing lots of children on milk cartons, I thought, okay, if we don't know who is coming, then you cannot open the door. You have to use the peephole. So there was that fear and apprehension. Now, some of you may argue, well, it's better to play it safe than be sorry. And I would agree with you on that. Yet that was my mental map. And for others, they do not share the same. And yet we thought we had a lot in common, and we knew we had some differences. So are you always triggered by the same thing? That's something to think about, but most especially when we're dealing and focusing on the other, because that's tactical empathy. What is it that triggered that individual to have those emotions, actions, and behaviors that are leading you to have the result that you're having in that moment? Now, you're not there to diagnose that. That's just for you to understand that this person has a trigger. You don't understand it. You know the emotion. Even if you don't understand why they reacted to that trigger, it's important for you to understand the emotion itself. The last model is the Jahari window. The Jahari window also has 4 panes, and the point of this model is to understand that when you expand the panes, you end up getting into the one that is hidden. It is the unknown window pane. Usually we discover this window pane much later in life. We can accelerate that if we're able to show more of ourselves, perhaps starting off with people who you feel very comfortable with, and let them know this is what you are, what you think, what you feel. When you have those experiences, you're able to show a more genuine side of yourself and come across as more sincere, more authentic. And then when you move forward into these more hostile situations where tactical empathy is important, is critical, then you're able to convey that natural sense of authenticity, which is paramount for the person who has a lot of hostility. If you can get there, then that's what's going to help you in those situations. It is a natural behavior. You just cannot fake authenticity, although some people are very good actors. So now I've gone through the objective, the focus, what people really want, and 6 models that will help you understand and deepen your tactical empathy. I hope moving forward you give that some time, and thank you for your time right now. My name is Rossina Gill. Have a great day.